Everybody, drop your buffs.
Drop your buffs.
Everybody, drop your buffs.
Drop your buffs.
Everybody, drop your buffs.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Drop Your Buffs podcast, where we talk about the strategy, social game, and stupidity, emphasis on stupidity of every Survivor episode. I am here with my wonderful co-star, co-host, Hannah. How are you today, Hannah?
How's it going, Djon?
How's it going?
It's going well. It is 9:15 p.m. here in Ohio, and it is, what time is it where you are?
It is 11:15 a.m. here in Vegas, Brisbane, Australia.
And if you're missing the video, Djon has his fluffy robe on.
I am in my hotel robe, and I don't know why I've ever worn clothes, honestly.
Living that quarantine life.
I can't tell you that I've ever been in a hotel for as long as I've been currently. I'm on day 6. I have to be here for 14 days. That was part of the requirement of returning to Australia. You're quarantined for 2 weeks in a hotel room. They only were having flights into Brisbane, so I have to wait until I can fly back to Melbourne after the 2 weeks. So in the meantime, I get to just live in this space, in this robe.
Right now, I'm just like imagining one of those movie montages of you like partying it up in the hotel. It's like, you know, opening up the mini bar, you got the robe on, taking a bubble bath, but that's like day 1. And then by day 3, you're like, get me out of here.
Well, see, I kind of thought about that. I was like, I don't want to do anything luxurious at the beginning.
Save it for the end.
Save it for when I really need it. So I've not left the room. Apparently there's the ability to smokers have the ability to go downstairs to, get outside and have it. So I think I have the ability
But you're saving that?
to take advantage of that. Yeah, I was like, that involves putting on clothes. And as we've discussed, I now live in robes.
Yes.
So.
Yeah, it's wonderful. You're living that high profile life. But
priority is I was still able to watch this week's episode of Survivor. That's where I'm at in quarantine.
And
those words.
I was telling Djon that this episode, you guys are going to hear me rant this whole episode about people making stupid moves and me being pissed at Survivor for a couple things. I don't want to spoil what I'm mad about, but yeah, I'm going to be ranting this episode.
Yeah, I actually did a rewatch. I did my second watch, and on the second watch, I wasn't engaged the whole episode. It was very clear to me that this was not my favorite episode this season. But I think it has definitely put into perspective where we're at this point of the game. And I think the reality of the situation is all of the big threats that couldn't protect themselves are out of the game. The big threats that could protect themselves are here at the point of the game where they need to switch into gear, and the people that were able to get through the game without being threatening are now existing. So we're seeing these people try to push their priorities, and it is a little frustrating to watch.
Yeah, it's something, that's for sure. Like, I'm loving Team TV. I'm loving Tony. The more he's on my TV, I know you don't, but the more he's on my TV, I'm loving it. I just
worry. So my disgruntled came from the fact that we started seeing stuff from Tony as soon as he was safe with community.
Yeah, like that's when he finally started working.
Right.
Which
and that's all we're kind of like. All we're seeing is him play when he's not vulnerable, and that for me doesn't necessarily seem.
And for 3 votes, he's been
correct.
Not vulnerable.
So yes. Right. So, I mean, for me, it's like I like seeing people who are a little more tactical in the sense that they have the ability to pull something when it could go bad for them.
Well, let's talk about Kim. Kim is that person. She was being tactical. She was pulling together something. She was using her relationships to get a vote against Tony in place. And this was the move I was waiting for. I was waiting for this Kim move. And here's where she went wrong. she was not willing to lose Sarah. She needed to have Sarah as her backup plan, not Jeremy as her backup plan. Who was her backup plan? You know?
Okay, so I also have thought through this, and I was yelling it in the group conversation we were having. I know you weren't present for it at the time, but I kept saying, why are they not voting for Ben?
Yeah.
Because he was the one that flipped on them.
Uh-huh.
He was the one that was like, we've jumped to the end of the episode. Like,
Yeah.
It's very clear that a lot of, look, we'll touch upon stuff at the start of the episode, but in order to make sense of what's going on at the start of the episode, we need to start from the end. For me, it was like, so it looks like there was a side of 4, a side of 3, and then Jeremy. You know, that's the numbers right now.
I think here's what I think. I think there's people that are trying to play the middle, as in Nick, Michelle, and Jeremy.
Yes. Well, I don't even know that Jeremy's playing the middle because neither side wants to work with him. You know, so for me... Well,
Michelle, Kim... Isn't that a person? Michelle Kim? Oh, sorry. That threw me off for a second. Is that a person?
So I honestly have
gotta Google that.
But in my mind, I saw these were the lines. I saw that Kim was on a side with Denise, and then there was the other side of Tony, Sarah, and Ben. And then you have Nick and Michelle in the middle. Michelle more on the side of the women, but willing to make moves that benefit her individually. It's this whole thing about this coin flip that is the real question. Because in my mind, it's like, yes, she voted with the minority, but she was making a move that she was comfortable with the majority getting the move that they wanted, which was to take out Kim.
Okay.
So she didn't necessarily have loyalties to Kim, correct? And you can't say that she wouldn't have known where the vote was, because I doubt she was going to give a coin flip to Jeremy and say, oh, by the way, don't vote me out. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, she has to know where their vote was going in order to feel comfortable enough to give him that.
So are you fine with her giving him the coin flip? Because I think that was an absolutely awful idea.
Here's the thing. I don't know that Michelle has any loyalties from any player in the game anymore. And this was her ability to keep somebody in the game that she has felt comfortable with at times. But this might have been like a fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me situation, because it's been a number of times now that he hasn't voted with her. You know?
Yeah.
Jeremy doesn't play loyally. You've seen him vote out Wendell. You've seen him vote out multiple people where it's and then, you know, go back to camp and leave his side of the numbers in the lurch. Like, he is a very selfish player. And we can't sit here and say that that's a bad move, but do you help a selfish player?
Like, I just think
necessarily help you.
There's no, like, she says that he's her friend and that he's like family to her. And I think that that's playing emotionally. I don't think there's any world in which she beats him at Final Tribal. So, like, why keep him in the game?
Well, my question is, by keeping him there to break up the other 3, does that give her a better chance at getting further to the end?
Oh, I see what you mean. Breaking up the Ben. But then she knows does she know the other votes are going on Kim? Where does she think the other votes are going?
I think she knew they were going on Kim.
And she was fine with Kim leaving.
Okay, well, yes. So I did the numbers, as I always do.
Of who voted for who?
Well, not even for the vote, because I think that we're assuming, after the rewatch, I saw Nick kind of nod his head like...
Yeah, I wrote down what the votes were, if you want me to say real quick, that Jeremy, Tony, Ben, Sarah, Nick voted for Kim. Yeah. Jeremy, Tony, Ben, Sarah, Nick.
It was Kim, Michelle, and Denise that were not in on the majority vote. So that moment that we saw between Denise and Jeremy, which we'll have to discuss, actually has some, you know, levels to it. So we definitely will have to discuss that. But in terms of the people that we're seeing sitting at Tribal Council, we have 2 people. So from the original tribes, we have 4 people from the Saleh tribe in the form of Denise, Michelle, Jeremy, and Ben.
Okay.
And we
Wow,
have,
that feels like
Decal.
years ago.
Yeah, I know. And then we have the Decal, which is Nick, Tony, and Sarah. Okay, so never these groupings never really work together in their original tribes. I mean,
besides Tony and Sarah,
always
yeah,
friends. But then we move to the second. So we go to the swap, which is the 2.0 tribes. You've got the new Yara tribe with Ben and Sarah. We've got the Saleh tribe with Michelle and Nick, and then we've got the Decal tribe with Tony, Jeremy, and Denise. Now, mind you, Kim's still in the equation at this point. So Kim is also a fourth member of the Decal tribe. So when you've got 4 versus 4, like if they had stayed loyal to those numbers, Jeremy, Denise, Tony, and Kim had the majority. They've got but this is not a game that's being played by tribal lines. Yeah. So even on the Decal tribe, it's 4 and 4. From the original tribes, we've got 4 and 4. With the switch, we've got 4 of the Decal. We've got the other 2, which make like another 4. So the numbers-wise, this is really kind of like, what's the word I'm looking for? Like this is heavy. There's a lot to it. Mm-hmm. So when you're targeting Kim, who numbers-wise is in a majority, but never really solidified any real bonds with anybody. She had the hardest time this season building any substantial relationships.
Yeah.
And it's really, it came to show this episode when, we had moments of, even Nick went up to her and said, Ben flipped, and then he flipped himself. Like,
yeah, and I'll bring up, I can't remember if I brought up secret scene. There's secret scenes all about Kim and Sarah Lacina and how close they are. And that's where I think that Kim went wrong, is that she was banking on that relationship and she wasn't willing to put the hit out on Sarah Lacina when the Tony hit isn't going to work. She needed to say, okay, we need to get rid of Sarah, but she wanted that relationship to bring her closer to the end. And so that's where she went wrong.
My debate is not even take out Sarah, because you can pull in Sarah as a number at this point because of what went down in the last tribal. My thing is go for Ben.
Get out Ben.
Ben is being
But no one is scared of him. Everybody wants to take him to the end.
Right, but he's going to stop people from getting to the end.
Right. And that's like the age-old debate, right? The age-old GOAT debate of, do you get rid of the Abby Maria because no one likes her? And she definitely has the spot.
It's not even just that he's easy to beat at the end. It's he's screwing up people's games.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's
including his own. Including his own.
But he did it to Adam. He did it to he did it to like Boston Rob. Like he's done it to multiple people where he's going out of his way to ruin other people's games.
Okay, and here's
they're not gonna
Here's another part of the episode where Ben played poor. 2 parts where Ben was awful. One is doing the silent treatment to Jeremy. Like Jeremy said, "What a child!" Like,
and Kim just sat there and laughed.
Yeah, like Ben says in a confessional that he does not want to work with Jeremy at all because there's no way he could beat him, and he's a challenge threat, so he doesn't want to work with Jeremy. Sure, we get it. You're not going to beat Jeremy at the end, but you just burnt a whole freaking jury vote by the way you're treating him. He's not going to vote for you in the end. He thinks that you're ridiculous because you are being ridiculous. You need to suck it up and just talk to him.
Boston Rob kept on calling him out for being paranoid. You know,
and
we see it time and time again from the jury. Everybody's like, look at Ben watching. They think he's kind of a clown. They think he's a bit of a joke.
Mm-hmm. And then the other thing he did that was so stupid was when he found the idol and then he proceeded to try to grab it. You know what? If you think there's an idol, just leave it there. Come back later. What are you doing? Which
That's what I thought too.
I'm sure he realized it 5 minutes later that he should have just left it. But we all just learned from that stupid mistake.
Well, my question was this, because I thought the same thing. I was like, was he worried that Tony was going to go in after him and find it for himself?
Oh, yeah. But still, I don't know. That was awful. That was awful.
It was terrible. But it's also terrible because then he's like hugging Tony and lifting him up, and Tony's like so not into it.
No, but Tony is fine with it because Tony wants to take him to the end because he can beat him.
Yeah, but Tony's also like, dude, what are you doing? Like, we're not cheering. You just tried to hide that.
Yeah.
You know?
Tony's.
I will say that my favorite moment from that interaction is when Ben picks up Tony and just starts running off with him. And Tony's just like, no, put me down. You're going to step on something. No, don't. And he's just booking it through the
Why
jungle.
did I watch the episode twice and not remember this part?
Literally, they're walking away from finding it. Ben just grabs him, lifts him up in the bridle hold, and just charges, and then it goes to ad break. He's just running.
Oh,
He's
okay.
running, holding Tony, and Tony.
I need a gif of that.
Stop. It was so funny.
What do you think? Okay, changing topics. Okay, we see a final 3 form between Nick, Michelle, and Denise. And here is where I will just put it on record that I just really, really feel like Michelle is winning this season. I have felt it forever. I have texted people forever about how Michelle is winning this season. I think the edit is clearly Michelle winning, just the kind of the stuff we get from her where she does things like give Jeremy the 50-50 coin, but we don't get any type of goofy music for it. When I personally think it's a horrible move, we don't get anything of like, oh, Michelle, can't believe she did that. What an awful move. Sorry, I'm talking too much edit. But I think Michelle wins.
You're fine.
And I feel like
my quick question is, was it a final 3 or was it a final 4 with Kim? And then Nick ended up flipping anyway. So is it real?
They pulled Kim in. It was Nick, Michelle, Denise, and then they brought Kim in. So we see a scene of the 3 of them, and then quickly a scene of like Kim saying, all right, let's take this to the end.
But Nick flipped on them, so
I know,
what's
right?
the truth behind it?
Because Nick is the worst. No, he's fine. But here's my thing. Michelle, I mean, I love Denise and all, but I think Michelle beats Denise.
I'm starting to think the same. Because I think that Denise, to be fair, I don't think either of them have had a good run post-merge.
They're not on the right side of the numbers ever. I need to track who is voting which way and how it's working.
But I mean, there is something to say about being able to survive. I mean,
I know.
You know, it's like, all right, I wasn't in the numbers, but I'm still here. Like I had to go through the bullshit of being blindsided and left out of the vote. And you know what? Like, I was here to play and people weren't filling me in. And it's like, how can you play with people who don't want to fill you in? So the fact that I'm able to sit here at the end when people were treating me like I wasn't worth it, like, isn't that a sentiment to my game? I feel like by myself.
That's how Nick Wilson won his season, is that he made it to the end and like really just navigated the waters really well, and then was able to pitch it at the end, as well as Mike White bombing his own game in Final Tribal that we didn't see but heard about later. So yeah, I think that Michelle does. I think that how she won her first game is forming those really close connections with people on the jury, and I think she wins hands down over Nick and Denise, and I also think she wins over Ben. And so that is 3 other people out of the now 7-person endgame, well, including someone who comes in from Edge.
Sarah's convinced that Ben doesn't want to sit with her and Tony at the end.
Yep. So
it's like, is Ben going to flip on them? Or is he going to try and stick with them? Because right now, that's why I don't include Jeremy in on the minority numbers, because clearly he did just vote with the majority. So Ben and Jeremy actually voted together, because we did see a scene of them sitting later.
Oh, so awkward, wasn't it?
Talking to Ben, and it's just like,
here's the thing.
It's hard. None of those, the 4 of them, I think the only people in that 4 that are happy to sit next to each other are Sarah and Tony. I think they're the only 2 that would be happy to sit with each other at the end.
Who need each other at the end. And here's what I got to say. I think so Tony has said that he doesn't want to take Jeremy to the end. Tony, you have the resume to take Jeremy to the end because you have saved Jeremy twice now. And and you can say that at the end. Is that still risky to do? Yeah, but I think I said last week that Tony and Jeremy need each other to get to the end,
Right.
because no one wants either
Yes.
of them at the end, so they need to go to the end together, and they need to do the Dom Wendell thing and fight it out.
My question is this. I know that you're a huge Jeremy fan as well.
Jeremy bear me, baby.
Right. If Jeremy gets to the end, what is his pitch? Jeremy Bearimy, you're
Okay. Caitlin will love that. So
I love
what
that.
is Jeremy's pitch?
What is Jeremy's pitch? Like, what is the game that he's played that's going to allow him to win? Because right now, I don't see his resume.
He can do it, okay? He is amazing
I'm
at talking.
Sure. Sure, but what's on his resume?
So let's take the minority vote of 4 that they took out Sophie in, which technically was all Tony's move, but Jeremy
Right.
could try, he could be like, I did this too, and then Michelle could be like, I did this too, and then Nick will be like, I was there too. So, sorry, I'm just having, like, it's funny,
It's hard.
Yeah,
It's hard to think about because Jeremy, being a strategic player in the past seasons that we've seen him in, is playing an under-the-radar game. And I don't know that playing under the radar is going to benefit him when he's seen as a social player. I think a similar thing could have been said about Aubrey in her second season.
Mhm.
Everybody saw her as this huge strategic player the first time around, and the
they
second time
didn't
around,
give
it
her
was like,
any.
I mean,
they
the
didn't give her-
audience didn't give her any credit.
No.
I
In her
was
set
not
in
here
Game
for Aubrey
Changers.
at all.
Yeah, because in all through Game Changers, we just see. Oh my gosh, you're making an amazing parallel here. Wow, all through Game Changers, Aubrey was not let in on the vote. Aubrey was constantly surviving though. Like, it was amazing. She made it to like final 5.
She
if I'm
did
correct.
have an idol played on her by Ty.
Okay.
to
Oh,
break
that was
the
during.
final 6,
That was
the
during
Cerrivo.
the Cerrivo
I know,
moment of
devastating.
silence. But like, she made it extremely far, but was like never in on anything. I mean, I might be hyperbolic right now. I don't remember the votes but I just remember that's the general vibe. And is that the Jeremy vibe that we're getting? He was in on Sophie vote.
In theory, he was in on the vote, but he was pulled in as a number. I mean, he was pulled in as a number.
He's not driving the car.
Was he the vote?
He's not driving.
He would have been the vote otherwise.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Maybe the comparison is actually between Michelle and Aubrey.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but Michelle just does not have the same target that Aubrey had coming into Game Changers.
But was Aubrey getting votes? I feel like in the merge portion of the game, she wasn't a target at all.
Right, like Michelle. Yeah. How ironic, isn't it, that Michelle's the Aubrey of this game?
Right. So for me, it's like I'm having a hard time seeing this. Okay, I think what's frustrating about this season for a lot of audience members is that the big game players are being. When you have 10 big game players together, it makes the moves a lot smaller and a lot less likely to actually happen. So people want to see an island with 9 dumb people and 1 really intelligent person. That's what's going to be more entertaining. But when you put 10 really intelligent people on an island, it's so much harder to pull off a move. Mm-hmm. And that's what I'm actually finding more entertaining.
And it's harder to track it too, you would say. Maybe.
It's harder to track it.
Especially at Tribal.
Right. And I know that a lot of people are frustrated by the conversation. And I mean, on the second watch, I was like, all right, they're just talking and walking around doing whatever. But I'm not convinced that it's because they're not good players. I'm convinced that it's this game because they're all such good players. Mm-hmm. While we're on it, I think we need to discuss the moment with Denise and Jeremy.
Yeah.
For me, I was like, yes, Denise. But then I'm hearing that on Reddit, she's getting read to filth and people are just disgusted with how she handled
and they're
that.
calling her racist.
What?
Yeah. Well, I don't know if Reddit is. Sorry, Reddit. I don't know if it's you, but Denise has come out and said, like, this was not racist, and people are calling her racist. And it's like, no,
okay,
she was so pissed. She would have done that to anybody in that moment.
Right.
She was done.
Peel back the curtain
yes.
and be honest. Jeremy has done this twice as many times and twice as worse. It's like we've seen
being rude
him
to people like that at Tribal?
At Tribal.
Well, he was rude right back
Absolutely.
to her.
Right.
When he was
Yeah,
like,
and he's like,
"You're
"Are
not
you
going to be
sure you
safe
wanna do
next
that?"
time."
I'm like, who's calling out the mansplaining? Has anybody
Yeah.
called out the mansplaining? You know, because that's a real thing. Do we want to have this big authoritative male telling a smaller woman, "Are you sure that you're making the right decision?" Maybe we should call out that, huh?
No, I'm
Huh?
not. I'm not on board with that.
No, and she held her ground and she said, "I'm done. I've made my choice." Is she not?
Yeah, she held her
open?
ground. Yeah,
Right.
and then
Is she not
and then
allowed to make that?
yeah. That sorry that I just clapped into the mic. This
You're
is
good.
another thing where I'm pissed at this episode. It's like, or the people responding to it. There's so much about this episode, but you're right. It's like, why is Denise getting all the hate for being a woman that's standing up for herself and like saying like, no, I don't want to talk anymore. Like
Yeah.
that was not racist. Do you even know what
And what
racism
about when
is?
Tony was trying to tell Adam, "Do you even know how the game's played?" Like,
Yeah.
people are picking and choosing what conversations that they
And then
want
everybody
to
found
hear.
Adam annoying out of that. Oh my gosh.
I know it really is like the dynamic of, okay, there is a dynamic to the little games like Survivor, especially Big Brother, where it's the person who's being victimized and being prodded at and subjected to character being compromised usually isn't defended because it puts people on a side. And what we see, I'll say this, having lived in America for as many years as I have, I feel like in America in particular, people are willing to take sides and even it out. It's like you'll have somebody who's in the wrong, but they'll have people who's supporting them. You'll have people who are in the right, or people will think that one person's in the wrong, one person's in the right, but it's two groupings. And I've existed in an environment where I feel like this is getting into like real life stuff all over again.
Here we go.
But, being a person who is of a minority in many facets of the term, it's very easy to feel singled out and left alone and not have support, because the reality of the situation is by supporting people, it subjects you to getting involved. And a lot of people don't want to get involved because then it starts to compromise where they are in life. And then that relates to the game of Survivor. If I get involved, it's going to compromise my position in this game. But my argument is if you don't get involved, you're not actually making moves. You're not standing ground. You're not playing an honorable game. But as we've discussed in most recent episodes, is Survivor an honorable game anymore? People are rewarding the evil dictator or the person that's doing the things that are not deemed to be the great things to be doing in the real world. The person who's bullying the other person is the person who's getting the prize money.
Right.
It's like Survivor is turning into a game where it's like, oh no, I get to do what I would never do in my real life, but I want you to give me the money for it. I treated you like crap, but it was for a game. So give me $1 million. So
And that's like, the Sarah Lucina game. That's what
it's a Tony game.
In the Tony game. Yeah, they both played that way when they won.
But did Sarah actively go after people's character the way Tony did?
No, no. What she did is she treated them like best friends. So what I've been listening to people on Rob has a podcast that people have been sharing, like Troy Zan and Andrea Belke, who have played Game Changers with Sarah, have talked about how she treated them like they were best friends. They would talk about what they were going to do once they were off the island, blah, blah, blah. And then never talked to them since. And they felt betrayed by her, and they have not heard from her as far as I know. I think that's what they said. At least Andrea said nothing. And it's kind of like, wow, that's a ruthless, savage game where you made this close relationship and then didn't do anything with it. So, yeah.
I applaud people who are able to bring people in on a human level. But then to like not follow through, I mean, that's real life. That's outside of the game.
Know.
Like, but it's also like to be called out publicly like that when you're wanting to go back and play this game. Like, you can't. I mean, you gotta have.
But here's Kim Spradlin falling for it, in my opinion. I think Sarah got Kim hook, line, and sinker, and Kim should have gone for Sarah and she didn't.
I was
and
gonna say I haven't seen, like, you've seen a lot of like secret scenes, but like I haven't seen them, so I haven't seen.
So
this
you haven't
side
seen
to
that
their
part, yeah.
relationship.
There's a scene where Sarah is on the ground by the water well crying about how she feels like she's a bad person. And Kim is comforting her and rubbing her back and saying, "You're a good person. You're a good person." Like, wow.
Yeah, but I feel like that's just like, okay. I guess I have to see the footage.
Yeah.
I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, oh yeah, but that's just real life. And then I'm like, oh wait, maybe that's
But what
not real
if-
life for a lot of people.
What if Sarah was acting that all out to endear herself to Kim, which I find impossible, but now I'm like, did it work?
I feel like if it was, we would have seen it.
Yeah.
You know, if there was a villain edit to give Sarah, I feel like we would have seen it. I mean, we saw the blow up between her and Tony after Tribal, which was incredible.
I know. I like angry Sarah, and I like scrambling
I love
Tony.
Angry Sarah.
Can I take a moment and complain about the immunity challenge?
Oh,
I
let's
am
go.
mad about this immunity challenge because 2 winners. There are 8 people left. 8 people.
Yeah.
And you're going to put 2 winners out there when you know full well that there's several idols out there as well. So the odds of a Sari thing happening again are so high. And then there's 8 people. I'm fine with 2 immunity winners at the merge of like 13 people. Like, sure. But I cannot stand the 2 winners. And the fact that every challenge is on a balance beam. We want these extreme endurance challenges. I am sick of watching people lose their balance. That is not what we're here for. When Jeff said we saw Parvati, was it Parvati? Last 6 hours during this challenge.
No. So he said that the Africa was 6 hours, and the
Okay.
second time, which was fan versus favorites, because I remember Amanda asked to leave the challenge so she could go pee in the bushes. So I believe that lasted for like an hour.
Okay. Which was
And that was 'cause
endurance.
they put the balance beam. Yeah.
Oh, they did have the balance beam when it was an hour long?
This time they weren't allowed to use their arm to support their
So
other
wait, they
arm.
had the balance beam back in fans versus favorites. Okay. But I'm just saying that I'm sick of every freaking challenge
T-Bird
being
won the
balanced.
Africa challenge.
Yep, she did. She was amazing. That's what I love. So when he was like the last one, like one of them took 6 hours, I was like, here we go. Let's bring it on. I'm ready. I want to see people push themselves to when they have to give up, not when they accidentally fall.
Right.
I'm done with that.
Okay, no, I feel that. And like we've discussed the challenges in the more recent seasons all being very like balanced during like
In
it's
some
like less
shape or form.
Right. There's less they're not running amongst each other. It's all one lane. It's, you know, we're not seeing that kind of challenge threat existing.
Yep.
And
Maybe that's why they're doing it, so that people are not seen as, I don't know, the challenge threat.
compromising other people's ability to win the challenge.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so let me touch upon, so you said the 2 winners thing. That was definitely my thing. I was like, this is so late in the game to have 2 winners. I wonder if it would have taken place if it wasn't even numbers for men and women. Like, if you had 2 women, would you still just give one of them
That's a good point.
necklace?
Like, what?
But my whole thing is, are they doing this round in order to encourage advantages to be used so we don't have a lock at final 6 like we did at the Cerise situation? Like, is this in order to kind of be like, all right, more people are safe, so we need to save more people, which means more advantages get played, which means we're not going to have a lock, but we'll have 3 people that are available to vote for.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, that's a good trade-off, I guess, but I'm still mad about it.
Thinking about it, we're going to go into Final 7. There are 2 idols. There's a coin flip.
Oh, my gosh.
There's going to be immunity.
And then 3 people are going to win immunity. Just kidding.
Well, four people have the ability to be immune at the next tribal council.
I can't.
Which means that there's only 3 vulnerable. Sorry. No, that's correct. There's only 3 vulnerable.
If they all use it.
Right. So it's like, I think what my gut is telling me is that they were doing this in order to make sure that a move gets played sooner.
Yeah.
So that they don't find themselves in a...
Did it work? Nope. Jeremy held on to that
mean-
coin, which was balls of steel. I could not believe he held on to that coin.
And Sarah told Tony not to play the idol
Oh
on her.
my gosh. But I kind of think that Tony, I think that whole play of using the idol on Sarah, I think it was all just to show everybody that he had an idol. To like
Why would you do that?
to make people not vote for him next tribal.
I don't know. Here's the thing. With Tony,
This is the man with the bag of tricks.
Sure.
He loves telling people what he has.
But Tony also has a on switch when it comes to performance mode. And he said, Jeff, can I just have a moment? Talks to Jeremy, looks at Sarah, says to Sarah, how do you feel? Sarah just kind of looks at him, and he just doesn't he waits for a response and then just goes,
I'm gonna
play it. And it was a very kind of like,
yeah.
it
I
didn't
think-
look
I
like
think
he
it
was
was a show.
performing.
I think it was.
Really?
I think it was
'Cause-
I think it was him pretending like it was nonchalant, but it was really just like letting everybody know he has it.
I just don't think he's that good of an actor. You know?
Yeah.
Like, I think he'd be like, you know what, Jeff? I'm not going to take a risk. I'm going to use this.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, where he was just like, I'm not, ugh. Like, it just seemed a little more like, you know what? I'm going to play it.
Yeah. But then he doesn't. Maybe it was all an act to make Sarah think that he would play it for her when actually he will never play it for her.
I mean, that's
Also,
this
fact check. I think that last episode I talked about how like Tony was not the dude that would play idols for people. He played an idol on LJ and Kagayan, and I just totally
did?
forgot about that. Yeah, him and LJ played idols for each other.
Oh, that's right. At the same tribal, correct?
Yeah, at the merge vote, I believe. And then LJ gets voted out soon after. So that was my rant about not having a real endurance challenge, which we actually got that endurance challenge on the Edge. The Edge delivered what I wanted to see with endurance. What did you think?
Just get our Edge spin-off already. Like,
I know.
That's what I'm here for. I think some interesting things that I got from the Edge were we get to see Natalie in beast mode again. She gets a nice edit.
My girl, she's coming back.
Being like,
she's coming back.
She's just a superhero.
Oh, I
think she might.
Who, Natalie?
I think Natalie might come.
Oh
back.
yeah, I've planted my flag on it the day she was voted out.
And here's the thing: I feel like if she comes back, she actually has a chance of winning this thing.
Yeah, that's what happens when you become friends with everyone on jury.
Well, and that's what I'm saying. It's like she's won and she can sit there and say, I got all of these fire tokens. I gave advantages to people in the game. I was the person who influenced this game.
Yeah.
From the island.
Yeah.
You know, I ran the show.
The Michelle versus Natalie would be very interesting.
Yeah, because Michelle can sit there and go, but I never got voted out. And I was the one who had to make up lies for the people on the Edge.
I paid
was
the 4
one that
tokens.
Right. I was the one that was making the sacrifice. She didn't have anything to lose.
No.
I did.
No, I don't think
Can
Natalie.
we do the jury speeches for them?
I know. You made me already do Jeremy's and I sucked at it. So how about you before the final tribal, you have to like do your own speech for each of the people. You doing Tony's speech would be hysterical. You'd be like, ugh, I don't want to do this speech. I was so ready for Boston Rob's downfall. When they started running and Boston Rob is up front, I was like, oh, he's totally not making it. Like he's thinking he can do it. And then like he pretends like the reason he lost is because he busted his elbow. Like, dude, your elbow does not affect your legs. Like your legs can still be moving. So I should. That sounds bad. Because that was a bad bust. But like he could have done it if he really had it.
I posed the same thing to you. You fall on your elbow. You've got blood running down your arm. What does Hannah do?
I don't know if you know this, but my physical abilities is just like Natalie, and I am a superhero as well. And I could fight through the pain, Djon. I CrossFit like 3 times a day.
That was worth it. Thanks for listening, guys. I hope you like this episode.
See you next week.
Right.
It's a podcast. No one knows what I look like.
No, that's all right. I mean, it doesn't matter what you look like. I mean, everybody thinks that Danny is about to float away in the wind.
Oh my
and
gosh, Danny.
Everybody's really concerned about her size, and I'm not concerned at
at all.
That's what a
Being
runner looks
a
like, though.
guy-
A runner looks like that's
Right,
skinny.
but she's like one of the fittest people out there. And I mean, we've all seen Courtney Yates, where everybody was like, is she anorexic? She's like, have you looked at my father? It's in my genetics. Like,
yeah.
like, I'm not concerned by it at all. But
No.
everybody else seems to be concerned with her appearance. And I'm like, I think she's gonna do what she wants to do, and I don't think it's about people's aesthetics.
No.
Like,
I wanted her to beat
deem-
Wendell so bad.
Me too. Like,
Oh my
because you know
gosh.
I'm here for Danny. You know,
Yeah.
she gets a lot of slack.
And I'm here for Wendell, and I'm here rooting for Danny to win. I wanted it so bad.
But even just listening to her say, you know, I wanted to kind of give myself that, and she goes, and then I just discovered that I left it
Lost
too
too
long.
much. Yep, lost too much time.
And I'm like, oh, Danny.
But she was smiling. I think, you know, she's proud of herself. I'm really proud of Sophie. I am so proud of that girl.
Yeah.
And
I've been saying it. I've been saying it week after week. Sophie is a
Challenge
physical threat. And I actually found, so every now and then on the Instagram stories, I'll post, I went through like a recap on this season.
a GIF recap on our Instagram.
GIF recap, like bam, 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 just to hit
They were
some
great.
pivotal
There were some
moments.
good ones.
Well, there's stuff that like I just had, like it even reminded me about things. I was
Yeah.
like, oh yeah, those people were on a tribe together. Oh yeah, this was what happened. So even that, but one of the things that I found was actually a GIF of the Final 5 challenge from South Pacific, where it's the one that Sophie beats Ozzy and gets him sent home. So I'll have to chuck that into the story and be like, this is the one I'm talking
the moment.
about.
And I love how she said, I just kept running. And, you know, that's what she's like, I just kept, and I did do a little history search about this season. I wanted to look up the last time she ate a reward, and she ate the Chinese reward episode 9.
Sarah gave up.
And we're currently on episode 12. So maybe that's, I don't know if the days are shorter now because of merge, but that could have easily been like 6 or 8 days ago. So even that, having all of those carbs, you know, somewhat recently over the edge people totally helps.
Yeah.
So I just want
I was gonna
to
say,
put that in
she
there.
was the last person to enter.
Yeah.
And, you know, the way that they spoke
Maybe they
about
have
not
more-
wanting Yule or Wendell to get food.
Yeah.
Wendell got a full feast, but even Wendell.
Oh,
even
yeah. You think about it. On their island, in the game island, they have more food resources. The Edge has no resources on that island. So I didn't even think about that, too. And also, I know that you kind of know about the Enneagram. And what I'm going to say kind of relates to your Enneagram number.
number 2.
Did you relate with 2, but you also have a 3. You're very much a 3. The competitive spirit. When Natalie said, you know what, I thought to myself, why not beat her? Did you relate with that, Djon? Did you feel that?
I mean, her little smirk as she was running in front of Sophie did make me feel, and you know what? There was no malice in it. It's
No,
just
it was just the fact of like, what, you
that's
know,
competition.
if I can beat her, just why not? Why not just win?
Right.
You know?
But just to you know, I think everybody, and like I can confidently say that if I have the ability to win a game, why not?
Why not?
That's, like I have this, you know, desire to compete.
Yes.
And it's like, you know, I could come second, or if I've got the ability to come first, why not?
Yeah. So I loved that part. I loved it. I have a little bit of 3 too, Djon. I'm a 3 in there too. So.
Oh, you totally would have tried to win.
Like, why not? See, I told you I'm just like Natalie in every facet.
Me too. I'm actually the third twinnie. I'm the trippy.
But you know who?
The triply.
The triply. I'm the triply.
Twinnie? Triply?
The other triply. You know, the person that you've been relating to the most this season is Adam. And
Yes.
what did you think? I loved the goofy music that we were getting with Adam. I'm here for Adam on my screen.
Yes.
Adam getting the goofy music while he was carrying the coconuts was everything. And I have now added to my Survivor bucket list that if I get on Survivor, I want the goofy music. I want to complain about it being my birthday. Even if it's not my birthday at all, I'm going to pretend like one of the days is my birthday, and I'm going to complain about it being my birthday. I want to get the goofy music, and I want to have my family visit. You know, the typical bucket list, but those 2 are now on it.
Goofy music.
I want the goofy music. I want the stupid music to play
Fair.
for me.
I feel like I would. My thing is I don't like being embarrassed,
Yeah.
and I like it if people are laughing with me.
Ooh,
I don't
yeah.
necessarily like it when people are laughing at me.
Yeah,
And this
that
is
is
something
true.
that I've had from when I was like a kid.
That is
So,
true.
You know, I can imagine that that's something that, like, as an adult, I'll be able to be like, you know what? I put myself in the firing line. I've put myself in a public scenario where
Mhm.
people are able to do that, but I'm not going to like it. I'm just being
Yeah.
honest with myself. Like,
Yeah.
that's not something that I'm going to
You're like,
pride
this is
myself
gonna
on.
suck, but this is what I'm doing.
Right. So kudos to you for wanting
I mean,
that.
I'm also super weird that I would love the villain edit on Survivor. I don't think many people would want that. So
Okay, a lot of people wouldn't want it, but I don't know that it necessarily, like, being a villain kind of almost gives you credit for doing whatever it takes, you know?
Yeah,
It
that
gives
is
you
true.
This kind of like, you know,
Yeah.
like good on them, where the goofy music means you don't know what the frack's going on.
Is that an Australian
Um,
word? Frack?
I mean, that's me filtering my own language.
I'm trying to see if there's
Um,
anything we're missing from this episode.
I do want to discuss just quickly
Yeah.
how we feel about Nick.
Well, I already said that I think he's losing to Michelle at final. I think he's losing. Is there anybody that Nick beats? He beats Nick. Oh, Ben. I meant
mean,
Ben,
that's
but Nick came
himself.
out of my mouth. Nick could
Does
beat
he
Ben.
beat
I think
Ben?
everybody's annoyed with Ben, right? No one likes Ben.
But just because you are annoyed by... Okay, so here's the thing. I think that Nick and Ben have actually been playing pretty similar games.
Okay. Yeah.
Because they'll
Except
promise
Nick
people
is
things
way
to their faces,
less annoying.
and then
Mhm.
they'll go and turn on
Do-
them.
yeah.
But they also are kind of like, well, that's the game, and we're not that good of friends. I just kind of made you a promise.
Right.
You know, like, and it's like, oh, but I broke that promise. So, like, I almost feel like Nick doesn't necessarily have... I mean, Nick and Ben don't necessarily like each other either. I mean,
Mhm.
Nick was the one that tattled on Ben. Ben's the one that told us that Nick ends up in every conversation, which is really annoying.
Mhm.
I
I
just think
love that running like kind of joke in this episode. We got a couple scenes where you see Nick in the back listening in. So I
Uh-huh.
love the running joke of Nick just listening in on people's conversations.
And I don't think that people are necessarily going to enjoy his game. But the thing is, I'm concerned. You know, I love Survivor so much, but I'm more of an OG fan. And I'm concerned with the direction that Survivor's going in, that we're just going to see people winning now that that play the game the softest. Not to say that it's a bad game, because they've made it to the end.
So you're saying those are the people who might win, the people who aren't playing the hardest.
And I think that we would have seen, like, had the edge not happened last time, we would have had people like Gavin and Julie, you know, at the
And Victoria.
end. They played...
No, Victoria didn't make it. I thought she played amazing.
But really? I think she played an extremely soft game. Everything that she said
Victoria
she wanted to do, she never did it. Like, she said that's the worst move, and she made that move. Like, she literally said, we're not talking about that season. So
we got to talk about this later. I'm in.
Right. But what I thought is, you know, people like Gavin and Julie played very soft games. And you know what? Gavin actually got some votes. And I was actually here for Julie getting votes, and nobody voted for her, which I was shocked with.
Because they viewed
But it's
her
like,
as emotional and whatever, you know.
why is that a bad thing?
Yeah.
Why do you have to play the game of Survivor without emotions? Why do you have to turn your emotions off to play this game?
Wow.
I don't get that.
Wow, you're making a... Okay, can you list
Like,
a
why
win?
is that such a weakness?
Can you name a winner who was emotional and could be seen as an emotional player who did win? Or is that an old school thing? People who played with their heart and being loyal?
I think, yeah. I mean, people who play with their heart,
Honestly, you could, even though Sandra says her strategy is anyone but me and that she isn't, she's an emotional player. She gets she can get loud too. What the F, you know? Like she plays that way. She never liked
voted
Russell.
out my closest friend. I'm gonna get them.
Yeah,
you know?
she wanted Russell out. She played emotionally against Russell. She didn't get her way, but
right.
You know, so that is someone that comes to mind when we're thinking of this.
I think the people that, like, in the earlier seasons, your Tinas, your Vesepias, and you know how much I love Vesepia.
Yeah.
You know, the people who like played, like, I just don't think it has to be a robot game.
Mm-hmm.
And
It
I think
doesn't.
that people-
And what if the tides turn now? What if the tides start turning? Because Survivor is always evolving.
yeah.
You know, what if it goes back to that?
I don't know.
You don't think it can?
I think it's not that it can't, but I think that just where the game is at now, it's more of like we're starting to see people be put out there as athletes or competitors in the sense that that's what they're trained to do versus people existing in an environment together. So like I miss the social aspect of, you know, your Cerise who, you know, joke around with people, have fun with people, make people feel bad for voting them out. You know,
I would argue that Jeremy has that. I would say that Jeremy has that vibe of him, of where he makes you feel really comfortable. He has a great laugh, and I don't know. That's what I would say.
I have not seen any footage of him standing up at camp.
Standing up?
He literally is just sitting down.
Oh, so you mean literally?
The time. Like literally.
Yeah.
He literally just sits in one spot.
He's a chill
doesn't
dude.
move.
He's hanging out.
Yeah, but Tony's at least, you know, running around, climbing ladders. Like,
But wait, but you're saying like you want to see the people who are the social players.
right. And I think that sitting down in one spot isn't necessarily a social game.
Who would you say is playing the best socially? Michelle?
Potentially Sarah.
I know Sarah. I feel like we're not seeing. No, we are seeing stuff like the fashion show. We're seeing those kind of
Right.
social things.
Yeah.
Huh.
And
Wow.
you know, honestly, we don't get to see much footage of Denise, and she gets left out of a lot of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But she's clearly the physically strongest woman out there.
Oh yeah.
So
I
she's
loved
gotta
when
be
she
doing
won the
something
challenge
good
today.
socially.
I know. Okay, so I had a question for you for this to talk about today that I thought that would be really great is that you have talked about with Edge of Extinction how when that season happened, Jeff Probst said that if you're going to have a twist like this, it needs to pay off in the finale. And I think about that all the time since you said that. And so here's my question about fire tokens. Fire tokens were one of the big things this season.
Yeah.
How do we see them paying off in the finale? So far, we've just seen people in the game buying advantages from the Edge. The Edge is going to stop after the next person comes in at like final 6 is when they come in, final 5 possibly, and then the Edge stops. Is there going to be, what's going to be the payoff in the finale with fire tokens?
Have you run the concept of the people in the game with fire tokens could potentially give them to people on the Edge to help them get advantages?
I feel like, did you bring that up one time?
I said that, yeah, I said maybe it can be like a buyback. Where
Yeah.
the people in the game are able to pool their tokens together in order to
For
buy
who they
an
bring
ally.
it back. I know. And I think that would be the most epic way to do it. I think that would be the coolest way to do it. What,
So I don't know
what
if
other
they
way could
necessarily
they
buy them back
or
they give them advantages.
right.
It's like, I'm going to put my tokens in this person to give them the best chance to get back into the game.
Or like at the final 4 fire making challenge, could you use your tokens to buy something advantageous for the final 4? Like, what could these pay off? Anyways, so I mean, I guess the first question is, do you think they are going to have a payoff in the finale? Do you think there's going to be something big that happens in the finale surrounding fire tokens, or is this all we're going to get from them?
Well, maybe. Okay, you're bringing up a really interesting fact. Thing that we've acknowledged, which is that they need to bring in the thing this season in the final episode. And if it's not just the Edge, we've got a double episode next week. We've got a 2-hour episode next week.
Yeah.
We may see somebody get back from the Edge
next
in the
week.
second half of the next episode, at the end of the next episode.
That's what you were
But-
saying that I really, really hope happens. That at the very end
too.
we see who makes it. Oh,
That would be awesome. Like
Oh,
for me,
that'd be
like
so
I'm that
good.
kind of person.
that'd be
But
so
then
good.
maybe it's the tokens that are saved for the final episode. You know?
Yeah. So, like, what's the payoff going to be, though? That's the question. Or will you think there will be a payoff with these
Well,
tokens
here's
in the,
the
end?
thing. The season before, we saw the Island of Idols get them, they moved to the Island of Idols to have the
Still
potential to
surreal
find
to think about.
advantages
Yeah.
and all that kind of stuff. So maybe the fire tokens are going to be their way to buy themselves an advantage in the final challenge.
Mm-hmm.
The
Yeah,
same way
which would be
that the
amazing.
Edge people
Yeah.
can buy
Yep.
themselves advantages.
That's a really good point. You know what I'm just realizing that I was hoping we would get, but we haven't gotten? I was hoping that people would find fire tokens on the island like they find immunity idols. I was hoping that they would be in trees and stuff.
Well, that's also a very interesting thing because I've discussed with people that they're sick of hidden immunity idols. They're sick of it.
Okay.
They're like, why are they they're so easy to find, which I don't necessarily agree with because they are out there for hours and we only
see when they find it.
But I would much prefer the idea of them finding something that can contribute to them getting an idol, like a fire token.
Mhm.
I hadn't thought about this earlier.
Yeah.
But if you find fire tokens, you're not guaranteed an idol, but there's the chance of it. So it's like,
Yeah.
I feel like they
That
need
could've
to
been more
kind of
fun.
change that up.
Yeah.
And you know what? I hate that sometimes somebody will find something the same way you would find an idol. And it's like, this is an extra vote. I'm like, that sucks. Like, why do they have to just get an extra vote?
Yeah.
Who decides that, this one's not going to be an idol, this one's going to be an extra vote? So I'm at least glad that people aren't finding like extra votes anymore. They're like
Yeah.
being gifted by people from Edge. But in saying that, in a future season of Survivor, are they going to keep fire tokens? How do fire tokens exist in the game without the Edge? Do they not exist in the start of the game? Do they only exist in the merge portion of the game where you can win them with individual immunity? There are so many questions about the future of Survivor and the dynamic of the game. Fire tokens are something that I don't believe have existed in any foreign seasons of Survivor. Is this their way of separating, US Survivor from the rest of the world now that the rest of the world is really getting in on it? I think that they're advancing the game, but I'm still craving the initial game, which is why I love the Edge.
Because of what the Edge brings us.
Right. And you know what? I kind of would love the idea of an Edge existing where they don't return to the game, but they play their own game.
Okay.
So it's like, all right, you're out of Survivor, but if you stay on the island and make up our jury, influence who's on the game or whatever, like you have the ability to win a prize, not the mill, but you get the ability to win the Edge prize.
That is very good because that removes the issue that everybody has with players coming back in the game that no one
But
has
we
ever.
still get to see the people on the island.
Yes.
We still get to get that
We
authentic
get the cool
OG
content.
experience.
Yeah, the only thing that people would hate is that takes less screen time away from the main game. But
I still want my post show. Like that's my concept.
Yeah, and that's because we like it because it reflects OG Survivor, like you've said. That's why we like it.
Make it a web series. Keep them around. Like the same way we have Ponderosa.
Like we bring Rain back.
Yeah.
As long as Rain's
it's
there.
a way to get that authentic survival aspect. I miss that so much.
I know.
And so many people love the chess game of it. But I'm like, I don't want to watch people play chess in a jungle. I want to watch them starve. Yeah. It's like, that's not as fascinating for me. Put them in a Big Brother house. I want to see the survival aspects combined with the game.
Yep. I love it. I love that point.
That's my 2 cents.
Boom. Mic drop. Except don't drop the mic.
This has been a very poignant episode.
Wow. We did not even share drop your buff moments, but I'll share one moment that I really enjoyed. I'll call it my
Yeah.
drop your buff moment. I love when they win the reward of peanut butter and cookies. I just said win the reward. They did not win a reward. They quit. They quit for it.
Yeah.
And Jeff is holding the plate for Kim. He goes, "You could take it." She goes, "I can't eat it if I'm holding it."
Right. And I actually, the
Drop
first time I
your
watched
buff.
it, I didn't hear either of them saying that. And I think that was his way of like, grab it.
Please take it out of my
once
hands.
this challenge is over, I have to take it back.
But she is both hands shoving food into her face. Like, I can't eat if I'm holding it. Like, she's like, you keep,
Right.
she's shoving it in her face. So
Because he very easily, as soon as Nick stepped down, he could have been like, sorry.
yeah, I know. He let them eat. And then Tony
So-
was like, can I eat?
Do I
No.
get to eat?
No, Tony. No.
Okay, so my drop your buff moment, besides the Denise moment between her and Jeremy, which I thought was potentially my drop your buff moment, I think it was nobody playing any idols.
Yeah. Jeremy not playing the coin flip.
Yeah.
Ugh,
And you know,
that's-
we even see that footage of him staring down Michelle, and Michelle looks at him and is like,
do it.
nothing.
She's like, I voted for you, dude. Do it.
Yeah.
Ooh,
she's
I love
like,
it.
All
Love
right.
it.
Well, that's okay. So next week we've got a double episode.
I'm so freaking excited. We see them run. The Edge people are running for something in the water. We pretty sure Danny gets there first. Yay, Danny! And then we get clips of them going. People on the island talking about how they're going to go for Ben. Tony and Sarah saying that they don't think he wants to go to the end with them, which we are assuming is Ben.
Right.
But they could be talking about someone else, but like maybe Jeremy. Yeah, Jinx. No, you can't talk. Got me a soda.
I've got some in the.
Do they do that in Australia? Do you do Jinx?
We do Jinx, but it's not like you owe me a soda. Like,
Well,
it's
how do
like-
you play
I think
Jinx?
Jinx is you're not allowed to speak until somebody says your name.
Okay, well that's how we do it over here too. But it's either Jinx, you buy me a soda. How it depends on your governing authorities. If it's you buy a soda for them or you say their name 3 times. Yeah, cool.
This is all very official business.
Look at that. Across the ocean, we play the same game. All right. Well, I
right.
just keep on yawning over here in Ohio, and
No.
you're
Well,
about to start your day, and I'm like about to end
know.
my day.
So my whole thing is we're at 7 contestants left. We're assuming 2 are going to go next week, which brings us down to 5. Then we can go into the finale with 6 once somebody comes back from the edge, which is standard. Our question is, do we have that 6th person revealed at the end of next week's episode?
Let's
Or
hope.
do we find out in the final episode? Because I don't need them to take that time out of the final episode.
No.
I would much prefer them to put it on the back end of this double episode.
Like, remember Edge of Extinction where Chris came in during the finale and won and no one had him on their radar? Like, we didn't even think he was a potential person, so.
And honestly, I think they've listened. And I think that's going to be something that they consider in terms of editing footage.
Let's hope.
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed.
Because you also don't want to assume that these people who are on the edge are potentially coming back in the last episode. Like, that'd be great if they get at least one episode where they can be like, let's have Ponderosa footage before the final episode.
I love Ponderosa footage. Like, bring it back. Yeah, I can't wait. And then our Triply, Natalie, will be making it. My doppelganger, your Triply, will be making it back into the game. So I can't wait to see
or
it.
Danny. Who knows?
You know what? Watch it happen. Watch it happen.
Here's the thing. I don't think I can be unsatisfied with. I think I
You were
will
about to
only
say
be
anyone.
unsatisfied if Wendell comes back. I think that's the only
Wow.
person I'll be unsatisfied
And
with.
his edit is not there. He's not coming back. The edit is.
But even then, like, I think everybody else has some. This sounds terrible. I think everybody but Wendell has a redeeming quality for them to come back to the island. Like, I just
They buried
don't-
him at the end. The edit, did.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't know that he has the rewarding
Yeah.
not aesthetic, but like quality to him that you're like, you know what, if Wendell came back and won, like that would be great. Like I
Right.
would love to see that.
Right.
But you know what? Yule, Adam, Amber, any of
So
them.
many.
Like,
So many.
I would love to see them come back. and see
Every
what they can
time
do.
that Amber cries over her husband makes me cry. Every time. I love how much that woman loves her husband.
I didn't realize how much I needed Amber in my life.
Oh,
Like I want an Amber like talk show.
What?
Like,
Honestly,
I just need to like hear her talk about things.
That sounds boring, but if she's talking about Boston Rob, then maybe I would listen in because I just love how much she loves. And her like cute little family is too much to handle.
I just loved her narrative from like the second or third episode with
I
Djon.
know. It's
Like,
been great.
She's very engaging to me. She's a storyteller.
All right, let's wrap it up. Follow us on Instagram at Drop Your Buffs Podcast. Twitter is Drop Your Buff Pod. Djon is Djon Alexander. I'm Hannah Gillia.
Yes.
In that robe saying that. Oh my gosh. Next time I'll wear a robe next time. Okay. Well,
Ooh, us in our robes.
okay, it's too late for me.
God.
All right.
I know.
Well,
I'm tired at like midday.
thanks everybody for listening and supporting us.
Thanks.
And can't wait to talk about the next episode. See you next time.
Bye.
Everybody, drop your buffs.
Drop your buffs.
Everybody, drop your buffs.
Drop your buffs.
Everybody, drop your buffs.